tragedy occurs to us when our mooring is lost. Therefore, self-control is that mooring. Welcome back to the study of the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. We are studying the Sthita Prajna Lakshana. We almost completed the Sthita Prajna Lakshana, the Lakshana, the features of a person of steady wisdom. That is called as Sthita Prajna Lakshana, which is the goal of every human being. That is how we can be unmoved under trying circumstances. Whenever trials and tribulations come to us, we get unnerved by them, we get frustrated and we get flustered, as it were, by them. So is there a way by which we can avoid this, whereby our health, both physical and mental, can improve, can be at peace? That is the idea. So in the 64th verse, which is a very significant verse, Sri Krishna told us that these two things, Raga and Dvesha, are the root cause of our sufferings. Raga is attachment and Dvesha is aversion. Both of them, when it exceeds a certain matra, a certain measure, both of them, they become a hindrance to our progress. Ragadvesha viyuktaistu vishayan indriyaischcharan. Why does it happen? Why do we get into this raga and dvesha? Why do we get into this attachment and aversion? Because of vishaya. Our indriyas, our senses, they travel among the vishayas, the objects of objects. They get attracted. And even though intrinsically we are all aware that the Vishayas or the objects, they ultimately only bring misery to us, yet we get attracted towards it. So that is why he says, Vishayan Indriyaicharan, one has to try to desist from doing that. Atma Vashyaihi, what should one do in that case? Atma Vashya. That means have control over yourself. How to have control over yourself? One is forcible control, Shama and Dama. That means forcibly you control yourself. The other is, the positive way is to place your mind on a higher ideal, be it on strength, be it on love, be it on the divine, whatever it be. Place your mind on that higher ideal. When you place your mind on a higher ideal, these lower ideals do not have the strength to drag you down. Of course, for that we need to know that those values or those ideals are absolute and that they are very important to us. We need to be very much convinced about it. Most of us are not really convinced that the higher ideal is good for us. So Sri Krishna will talk about that in the future chapters. So if we can do that, then what will happen? Prasadam adhigacchati. One will have prasada. What is prasada? Prasada is the happiness or peace. Peace and happiness, these two things. Prasada is peace, tranquility, which will lead to happiness. Vishayan. So in the next verse he says, Prasade sarva dukkhanam hanihi asya upajayate. What will happen when prasada comes? That means when tranquility comes to you, when peace comes to you, sarva dukkhanam hani. That means all the miseries, any misery for that matter, both we suffer from the three miseries which we are all aware of, Adi Bhautika, Adi Daivika and Adhyatmika. Adi Bhautika is that which is caused by other people or by other animals, etc. So Adi Bhautika is that which is caused by nature, acts of nature, flood and then heavy rain and so on and so forth. So that is Adibhautika. Then Adhyatmika are those which we inflict upon ourselves by wrong understanding, wrong thinking. By wrong thinking, we unnecessarily keep worrying about things on which we do not have any control over. And naturally, the mind will become agitated, it becomes too depressed. Therefore, it says that if we can avoid these three dukkhas can be avoided by focusing on the positives. That is, as I said, the positive qualities of purity, of love, of compassion, and of devotion to the divine. If we can focus on those positives, then slowly and slowly these the prasada will happen. That means the tranquility will come. Then all the dukkhas that come to us, not that they won't come to us, they will come to us, but we will develop such strength within ourselves that we will not, that those difficulties will not be able to move us. They will not be able to shake us, as it were. So, prasade sarva dukkhanam hani, 65th verse we studied the other day. So, first is, what does it do? Removal of the raga and dvesha. It removes from our character these two things, that is intense attachment and intense dvesha, intense hatred. These two things are removed from when we do that. The second is when the control of the senses is brought about by this discipline. Third is, which is a very important thing, which Acharya says, Sankalpa Vikalpatmakaha. You will have a total control over Sankalpa and Vikalpa. What is Sankalpa? Sankalpa is that which I decide, those decisions or desires that I acquire, that I need to acquire this, that I need to get this. So you will have total control over such desires, sankalpa. And vikalpa is that I shall not do this. Once I make a decision, I shall not do this. Even my whole being will be averse to doing any such thing. So in the life of great saints like Sri Ramakrishna, we find this manifest. Sri Ramakrishna used to say that my being has become so attached to truth, or so so enamored by truth, that even willingly I cannot tell an untruth. And he says, if I say to somebody that I will come to you on such and such a day, even though you withdraw your invitation, I will go there just to give my presents and then come back. He used to do this. So because his hold on truth had become so very strong. So Sankalpa Vikalpatmaka, one will have that cleanliness of mind, Chitta Prasadaha, cleanliness of mind. In later, Sri Krishna will talk about Vyavasayatmika Buddhi and Avyavasayatmika Buddhi. Vyavasaya means cultivation. The farmer who cultivates the land with great care, with great concern. So Vyavasayatmika. Avyavasayatmika Buddhi is like the farmer who does not cultivate the land properly, who does not supply the nutrients at the proper time, who does not let the water into the farm properly. That is called Avyavasayatmika Buddhi. Vyavasaya. All of us are, in one sense, we are all Vyavasayis. That means we are all farmers. We are here to farm our the mind, wherein we sow seeds of purity, we sow seeds of kindness, etc. So when they come out and when they give their crop, so to say, then we enjoy those crops and we are satiated by it. So Vyavasayatmika Buddhi. So Prasanna Chetasaha I Ashu Buddhihi Paryavatishthate says, for soon does the intellect of a tranquil person will become totally steady. Bertrand Russell, Swami Ranganathananji, in his book he quotes this from Bertrand Russell from his book Kingdom of Happiness. He says that you can have these three kind of integrations in your life. You can achieve these three types of integrations. One is you have to integrate yourself with the society, integration between you and the society, integration with the nature outside, so that we do not harm nature unnecessarily, and then integration within your own mind, which is the subject matter of the Bhagavad Gita, is this gaining integration within our mind. When you do that, then you become Atmavashyi, you become self-restrained, total self-restraint. Tremendous self-discipline will come to us within ourselves. And then you can move very freely without any fear at all. That these are the words of the scriptures. You will move about in the world like a free lion, roaring lion. So the example given is of Shukadeva. Shukadeva was the son of sage Vyasa, who is the author of the Mahabharata. Vyasa, Shukadeva was he was born as a jnani. He was born as a realized soul. So he would go away without any clothes and he will be walking everywhere. So the story goes that once Shuka was walking on the road, and then there was a lake nearby, and many women were bathing in the lake. So they as he went naked, they did not even feel any sense of shame at all. After him came sage Vyasa. He came running, searching for his son. So he saw Shuka going away. As soon as he came, the women immediately started wearing their clothes and feeling shy. So Vyasa was intrigued and he asked the girls, well, my son, who is a young man and who is naked, when he was going past you, you did not feel any shame. But when I am coming, when I came, I am such an old man and you are feeling the sense of shame. So the gopis, the women then told, look, when we look at Shuka, we see a child in him. He has the simplicity, he has the guilelessness of a child. Therefore, we feel that he is one of our children. Whereas you have described the different rasas, different moods and all of that. Whereas you do not have that sense of control about yourself. So that is what happens to such a person. That means he roams about in the world without any sense of possessiveness, without any sense of shame or fear, will move about in the world. Swami Vivekananda, when he became a celebrity in America after he gave his famous lectures at the Parliament of Religions. An elderly lady was watching him, listening to him. He used to attend every lecture. And after the lecture, all the audience, especially women, they would all come, go near to him, touch the hem of his robe, and then would like to talk to him, converse with him and all that. This lady writes later, when I saw all of them going towards this young man, I said, my lad, if you can resist all this temptation, I will call you God. And indeed it was that later she became a very favorite disciple of Swami Vivekananda, and she understood the purity of Swami Vivekananda. That is what happens at Atmavashya. One has total self-control due to not having this raga and dvesha, attachment and aversion, and also one has total complete control over one's senses. In the 7th verse, Sri Krishna is talking about the person who does not have this kind of prasada, does not have this kind of happiness. What does he say? Nasti buddhirayuktasya nacha yuktasya bhavana nacha bhavayata shanti ashantasya kutas sukham. Ayuktasya buddhihi na asti. Ayuktasya, of the uncontrolled person, buddhi na asti. Does not have buddhi here means faith. So buddhi does not mean intellect here. Buddhi is faith or comprehension of spiritual truths. So nasti buddhi does not have. A person who is uncontrolled does not have faith in spiritual comprehension. Sri Ramakrishna used to say that some scholars are like vultures. Vultures fly very high in the sky, but their whole focus is on the dead carrion, the dead bodies or dead animals and beings which are on the ground. In the same way, a person who is not uncontrolled, if he does not have control over oneself, for such a person, even though he may be a great scholar, scholastic person, yet will not have any kind of comprehension at all. Buddhi na asti, that means does not have any buddhi. Ayuktasya, of the uncontrolled, a person who is not controlled, bhavana cha na asti. That means there is no bhavana, means feelings. Bhavana means feelings. Does not have any inner feelings. His heart is also empty, so to say. And abhavayataha, for the person who is not contemplative, for such a person, shantihi na asti, there is no peace at all. There is no peace for such person who is unmeditative. A man of uncontrolled senses has no spiritual comprehension. He has no capacity for meditation either. That means feeling of the divine within oneself. For the unmeditative, there is no peace. And where is happiness for one without peace of mind? See, without peace of mind, it is not possible at all. So here it says that all the tragedies come to us in life because our mooring is lost. When a ship's mooring is lost, during all this cyclone we have seen that if the ship's mooring is not very steadfast, then it is carried away by the wind and it wrecks the ship. So this tragedy occurs to us when our mooring is lost. Therefore, self-control is that mooring. Self-control is that mooring. If we have control over our sense organs as well as our mind, our feelings, our thoughts, all of this, we need to gain a control over all of that. Tragedy is very good when it is depicted on the screen, as they say, but very dangerous when it is depicted in our own life. Therefore, nasti buddhi ayuktasya. 2 pictures or 3 pictures we need to have in front of us in our life. One is, do I want to suffer this kind of destruction, this kind of shipwreck in my life? Do I want my life to be destroyed? Keep that shipwreck on one side, the picture of a shipwreck on one side. Or do I want to ride high in the ocean of this samsara? in the ocean of this temporary existence. Let me fly high. Let me go higher up. These two things, one of the shipwreck and the other of a flight. So you keep both of these pictures in your life. What do you want to have? Whether you want to have the first one or the second one. And we need to practice this. Nobody can do this for us. So Swami Ranganathananji quotes from the Viveka Chudamani of Sri Shankaracharya. He says, Rinamochana kartara pitusanti sutadayaha bandhamochana kartatu vina swasmadanyo na kaschana. That means the debts etc. that you accrue can be repaid by your siblings or by your children and so on and so forth. But if you are bound, that means bound to this physical plane, you have to make effort to remove it yourself. So therefore, we need to make a concerted effort, a concentrated effort at all times. See, Sri Ramakrishna was once asked, how should we practice spiritual discipline? Is it enough for us to think of the divine once in a while? Sri Ramakrishna said, no, it is not enough. Then he said these words in Bengali, Savadhan, 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 Sadhu, Savadhan, he says. That means if you have to be aware all the time be aware of yourself. What I am, what I should be, what is my goal of life. All these have to be made very, very clear in our life. So, this nasti buddhira yuktasya, let us not be of those persons who are not uncontrolled and who do not have any spiritual comprehension. We must understand what life is, what our worldly life is giving to us, and what is it that I am going to get when I practice these spiritual disciplines, when I become self-controlled. So if we are very clear about it, then we will be going towards that constantly without any hindrance. Yes, there will be some difficulties on the way. It is like walking on the razor's edge, no doubt. But once you are able to reach the other shore, that means once you are able to cross the difficult paths, then you will see that prasada, that peace and tranquility, it will become yours, and you will be no more seeking anything from the world. No more of asking or seeking anything from the world. Therefore, if we want sukha, if we want happiness that lasts forever, then we need to aim for shanti. That means peace. Peace within myself, peace within the universe, that means the plants and other animals, and ultimately peace with the divine. Achieve the peace with the divine. We shall all have to try to clear our mind of all the cobwebs that we have created through years of wrong thinking. That's what we need to do. So anyway, we will go to the next verse, 67th verse. Sri Krishna is continuing the same theme. Indriyanam hicharatam yanmanonu vidhiyate tadasya harati prajnam vayurnavavam bhasi. Sri Krishna says, look here, do not think that it is very easy. I know that it is not easy. Saying is very easy, but then doing it is very difficult. There is no doubt about that. So, indriyanam hicharatam, when you keep moving within or among the senses, indriyanam, among the senses. charatam yan manaha anuvidhiyate. That means when your mind follows the senses at all times, tat asya, of that mind, then prajnam harati, your discriminative power is stolen. Harana means stolen. Harati. Vayur navam ivambhasi. See, like the ship which is wrecked by the wind. I already mentioned it, like the ship which wrecks us. The senses are naturally disposed to move towards their objects. See? Paranchi kani vyatrunat swayambhu. The Lord of Death, Yama, he gave the instructions to Nachiketa, the young boy who asks very difficult questions of the Lord of Death. And so the first teaching that Yama gives to him is that the Lord has created our senses all outward going. Everything is looking outward. That is why one does not see what is within oneself. So much of external, the body has been created in such a manner, the senses have been organized in such a manner that they are all outward going. But kaschid dhiraha, one amongst the many, atmanam aikshat, becomes really curious to know one's own self, knowing one's own self. So that is very important. Here he says, tadasya harati prajnam vayurnava mivam. Indriyana hicharatam, correct. So we will have to turn all the sense organs inward for some time. We will have to learn to say no to things which do not concern us or which are not beneficial to us. Viveka Chudamani, Shankaracharya puts this like this. Shabdadibih panchabhireva panchattvamapuh swagunena baddhaha kuranga matanga patanga meena bhringa narah panchabhiranjita kim. See? He equates the 5 organs to 5 kinds of animals. So kuranga, matanga, patanga, meena, bhringa, nara, panchabhiranjita kim. Kuranga is the deer. It is said that the deer has got a scent within itself, but it goes searching for that scent everywhere. Goes on searching for that scent everywhere. As a result, it gets tired and then falls down dead. Kuranga, the sense of smell. Matanga is the elephant. The elephant, when we in India, they have this system called Khedda. Especially in Karnataka, they have this method of catching the elephants. What they do is they will let a she elephant into a pit, and then they will guide a male elephant towards that pit. And then when it goes there, then the she elephant will start smothering the he elephant, and then he gets enamored by it, and then they catch the elephant. So kuranga, matanga, patanga, firefly. The firefly, it just gets attracted to the fire and in the end loses itself in the fire itself. So kuranga, matanga, patanga, meena, the fish, and then bhringa, that means the bee. It goes and makes the hive and then gets destroyed in the hive itself, beehive itself. Then Shabda Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. That means the bee is attracted, the bee is attracted towards the lotus. And it is said that the lotus closes itself when the sun goes off. And then the bee gets trapped within the lotus and it dies over there. Kuranga, Matanga, Patanga, Meena, Branga. So all these examples are given to show how the five sense organs, while they are useful, they can also be deadly. They can lead us towards the extinction, so to say. Tasmat yasya mahabaho nigrihitani sarvashah indriyani indriyartebhya tasya prajna pratisthita. For he says, O mighty Arjuna, he who can completely restrain his senses from pursuing their objects has his wisdom firmly set. So it is very important for us to try at least, once in a week, we make some resolution. All right, I will not be a prey to my sense of rasa, that means of the tongue. Once in a week, we can start with once in a week and say, no, I will fast maybe for a few hours. Of course, if you are diabetic, please do not do it. But if you are of good health, then try something. You just a little bit of fasting, maybe a few hours in a day without eating anything or except drinking water. Do that. It will help us a lot. A control of the rasa will come. Control of the tongue will come. Control of speech also. Mauna is such a wonderful thing. So we can also have the mauna. I know a few families where they have this rule that between 9 p.m. and 7 a.m. there won't be any talk with the house. Nobody talks at all in their house. And it helps. It's definitely Vak samyama, that means restraint of the speech, is a very great tapas. So if we can restrain tapas, it will of course avoid lots of misunderstandings and so on and so forth, and your vak will become shuddha, it will become pure. One who could completely restrain senses from pursuing has his wisdom firmly set. That is the ultimate goal of all of our spiritual practices, is somehow to get total control, total restraint, so that we can place our mind on the divine and enjoy the bliss of being with the divine, being one with the divine. Sri Krishna then talks about the effects of this. Ya nisha sarva bhutanam tasyam jagarti sanyami yasyam jagrati bhutani sa nisha pashyato munehi. What is like night to all ignorant beings, to that Atman consciousness, the self-controlled sage is awake. What is ignorance to all of us, what is not known to all of us, is known very well to the realized soul. Right now, what is known to us is the five senses. But for the realized soul, he has gone beyond the five senses and he enjoys the joy of being within oneself, that Atman consciousness. It's a very important thing. We have to learn to be with ourselves. I have said this a few times here, that we are all used to being with others. But when we are alone, are we happy to be alone, is a question that we need to put. With all the devices that we have, with all the media and other things that we have, and today, in these days especially, we are always with something, with some thought, with some sound, or with some visual, and so on and so forth. So is it possible for us to be without them, without anybody around us, but within with ourselves? Can I enjoy my own company? If I cannot enjoy my own company, then you should know that nobody else enjoys your company. How can others enjoy your company if you cannot enjoy your own company? This is very important. Therefore, he says here, Yanisha Sarva Bhutana. What is like night to all ignorant beings, to that Atman consciousness. That means a person who has understood that the divine is within me, or that I am divine. For that person, this night becomes like day. And the sensate life to which all ignorant beings are awake, that is like night to this illumined sage. What we think of as very enjoyable, those things for such a yogi is trash, mere trash. One day, came to Dakshineshwar temple where Sri Ramakrishna lived, a man with tattered clothes, disheveled hair, long beard, and very unkempt person. So he came, and Sri Ramakrishna was watching this person, and he saw in his eyes a realized soul. So this man went to the kitchen where food is offered to all guests. He went there and begged for some food, said, but those people rejected and said, you are unkempt, you have not taken a bath, and you are smelling, so we won't give you any food here. You cannot sit here and have any food. Go and eat from the plates that are being thrown over there. He did not mind it at all. He went there, and then some dogs were eating food from the leaf plates. After their having their food, their leftovers were thrown into a pit, and the dogs were all going and eating. He went and put one of his arm on a dog, and then he started eating from those very leaf plates. And after his meal was over, he went to the Ganga, took some water from the Ganges, drank it, and then started going away. So Sri Ramakrishna observed all of this. So he sent his nephew Hriday, and said, Hriday, go. This person looks like a realized soul. Said, no, he is a beggar. No, he is a realized soul. You go. So he went behind him and asked him the question, who he is and what is his realization. As he went towards the gate of the temple, outside the gate, he went on chasing, and he shooed him away. The man shooed Hriday away, but Hriday pursued. And then he asked, Sir, my uncle wants to know who you are and what is your realization. So the man said, look here, the day when you feel that the drain that you see here and the water of the Ganga, the holy water of the Ganga, that you all receive it with great respect, when you know that both of these are the same water, then you will know who I am, what is my experience. That is to say, for him, what we consider as of dirty, as of no use, that for him, for the realized soul, that is the divine itself. Does not reject anything, accepts everything. Yanisha Sarva Bhutanam. In the next verse, Sri Krishna is talking about this experience of the realized soul. Apuryamana machala pratishtham samudramapah pravishanti yadvat tadvat kamayam pravishanti sarve sashantimapnoti nakamakami. Apuryamanam achala pratishtham. It's a beautiful word. Apuryamana. Pura means to fill. Apura means always fill. Just imagine a person who is joyous at all times, whether one experiences pain or pleasure, but the joy within does not reduce at all. Holy Mother Sharda Devi was once asked by a disciple, Mother, you are entangled in this worldly life so much. You look after your brother's children, you look after the whole household. Then there are so many devotees who come to you, pestering you for initiation, pestering you for blessings and then solutions for their life and all that. Not only that, you also go and cook for all of them, feed them, then you clean them. You do all of this. And don't you feel at times frustrated by all of this? When people come and pester you at all times, don't you feel very frustrated at all times? Sharda Devi said, look here, I always feel that my being is filled. My jar of my inner being is filled with joy of God consciousness at all time. So when I am doing all of this, it does not bother me at all. I do sometimes get flustered. I do get annoyed at times, just in order to keep away some elements who do not want to progress themselves, but who want to come and sit on me or come and receive all my advice. They should do something for themselves at all. But having said that, I am at all times at bliss. So Apuryamana, this is the example of Mother Sharda Devi. Apuryamana, ever being filled. Achala pratishtham, immobile and steady. You see the lives of all great saints. Their lives were one of this steadiness, immobile and steady. Nothing can shake their faith. Our faith is very brittle. Most of our faith is very brittle. If something seriously wrong happens to us, we get frustrated and naturally we start blaming God. Oh, but God is not graceful with us. So that is not it. Immobile, such persons are not flustered by it. They are not frustrated by it. Immobile and steady. Samudram, like the sea, like the ocean. Calm. Yadvat, in that way. Samudram apaha pravishanti yadvat. Even like the ocean that is ever being filled by the rivers, but still remains steady within its bounds. The volume of water will never change. It keeps on. All the rivers come and join the ocean, but you will see the ocean of the same proportion. Samudramapa pravishanti sadvat tadvat kamayam pravishanti sarve sa shantim apnoti na kama kami. Such a person attains to peace, not he who runs madly after objects of desire. Because this is a chimera, this is a mirage that we keep on chasing. And there is no sight of the horizon at all. Like Tolstoy's the beautiful story of how much land does a person need. The rich man announces that I have got plenty of land. Those who want, they can come and they can talk to me and they can get the land, the piece of land. So he gave them, whoever could come, he will give them a stick and said, you go round this whole land that I have and you mark that area. But the condition is that before the sun sets, you must come back. So it should be a circle and you should come back to this area. So many people came who took the stick and went. When it was midday, they still thought, can I go a little further? Can I go a little further? They went on and on and on. And when it became dark, they could not return to their to the starting point, so to say. Therefore, then Tolstoy says that how much person indeed does, how much land indeed does a person need? Only that much, a 6-foot graveyard. That's all that is the amount of land that a person really needs. So here he does not run after the objects of desire madly. Apuryamanam. So we have to remember this word, apuryamanam. That means fill yourself with thoughts of the divine. As you keep on filling it, the thoughts go on, keep on filling it. A time will come when you will feel that the thought is uppermost in all of your activities, in all of your day-to-day living. The thought of the divine is uppermost. Nothing else bothers you. Even if trials and tribulation comes, this does not bother. It just floats and goes away. That is the idea. Vihaya kaman yas sarvan pumamscharati nisprihaha nirmamo nirahankaraha sashantimadigachyati kaman yaha sarvan vihaya. One who has abundant desires, kaman, pumamscharati nisprihaha. That person, if he moves about without any attachments and the sense of I and mine, this sense of I and mine is the root cause of all of our troubles. I am doing, this is mine. This Sri Ramakrishna said, this is ignorance. If you have to term what is ignorance, then it is this, I and mine, ahamtva and mamatva. It's in Sanskrit, aham and mama. Aham mameti pratitam shariram bhogaspadam sthulyam atiryate bodaihi. Shankaracharya says in the Viveka Chudamani, this aham and mama, I and mine, me and mine, all of us are riding these two horses of I and mine. In the end, it is leading us nowhere, so to say. So he says here, Vihaya kaman yas sarvan. If you have to abandon desires, then you need to have control over this I and mine. Great saints, they never talk about I did this or I did that. No, they never speak about that. Or they will never have this feeling that this is mine. Everything comes from the divine and goes back to the divine. That is the idea. Sri Ram, we have 5 minutes. Sri Ramakrishna gives a beautiful parable. A man was known to be a very pious person. So whatever used to happen, he used to say, it happened by the will of the Lord, will of Rama. So he was known in the village as a real pious person. So one day he finished his work and then was sitting outside his house on a bench, And there he was just thinking of the divine. It was a summer night, so he was sitting there and just thinking of the divine. That time, a band of robbers, they passed by his house, and they had some valuables. They had just robbed a house of some valuables, and they were having it, and they were heavy, and they needed someone to carry them for. So they saw this man sitting there. So they went, caught hold of him, told him, "You are strong enough, take these things and come with us." So he took it on his head and started walking along with him. At that moment, the police got wind, and then they chased these robbers, and the robbers didn't have much, so they went away. And this the police at last caught hold of this man who had all the things, and of course they caught him red-handed. So naturally they took him to the police station, imprisoned him for the night, and the next day they produced him before the magistrate. And the magistrate knew that this person is a pious person. So he asked him, "Well, my dear, you are a pious person. How is it that you robbed somebody of this? Are you a fake person?" So, "No, sir." "Tell me what happened." "Well, by the will of Rama, I had my meal at 7 p.m. By the will of Rama, I sat outside and I was enjoying the moonlight. By the will of Rama, these robbers passed my place. By the will of Rama, they caught hold of me. By the will of Rama, they loaded all these things, all the bag upon my head. By the will of Rama, the police came and caught me. By the will of Rama, I was imprisoned for the night. And by the will of Rama, O Lord, my Lord, I am in front of you." So the magistrate immediately knew that this man has not stolen it, and he released him. So when he came back, he said, "By the will of Rama, the magistrate has freed me now." So it is not mere words, but if we can develop that feeling that it is by the will of the Lord, that whatever I am thinking, whatever I am doing is happening by the will of the Lord, then our life will become blessed, double blessed, so to say. We already have this human body which is already blessed, and we will become double blessed when we achieve to the goal of our life. Esha brahmi sthitih partha nainam prapya vimuhyati sthitva syamanta kalepi brahma nirvanam rachyati. This, O son of Pritha, is the state of dwelling in Brahman. Having attained it, one is no more deluded. By abiding in that state, even by the time of death, one is united with Brahman. This is the sthiti, or this is the state of total emancipation after realization of the divine. Total emancipation. One does not need to come back. Even by the time of death, if one has achieved this state, one becomes united with Brahman. The water, the rainwater, it becomes one with the ocean. That's what it is. Water has got its separate existence. The water drop has its separate existence but ultimately when it reaches the ocean, it becomes one with it. So all of us are aiming towards that goal. Knowingly or unknowingly, every being, every embodied being is moving towards that. Only if we do it with understanding, and if there is that great intense aspiration, we will reach it faster. That's all. Spiritual life leads us faster towards that. But in order to do that, we will have to develop this sense of not I, but thou, O Lord. Not mine, it is thine. Not I, but it is thee. This is the feeling that we need to develop in our life. So instead of solely depending upon our own purushakara, that means our own strengths and weaknesses, let us try to depend upon the grace of the divine. That is the subject matter for today's discussion. With this, we will be concluding the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. We will take up the third chapter when we meet next in 2 weeks' time. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Thank you. Thank you.